A warm welcome to the sixth film in our Windows series, in which we consider the points to look out for when fitting a lintel in a double-skin masonry wall. A lintel must be strong enough to transfer the loads from the facing skin above the wall opening. The simplest way of performing this load-bearing function is with reinforced concrete. Nowadays, this almost always takes the form of a prefabricated component that is delivered to the building site. It is important to separate the lintel and the surrounding brickwork with an expansion joint due to the different temperature-specific expansion behaviors of concrete and brickwork. If you want to achieve a continuous brick bond effect across the whole facade, it's possible to have a precast reinforced concrete lintel clad with thin veneer bricks at the manufacturing plant. Here, too, expansion joints are required. In our Regensburg school, they extend as far as the vertical expansion joints in the facing skin. To avoid a precast reinforced concrete lintel, a more complicated construction is required. Once upon a time, builders laid jack arches in which, despite being laid with horizontal bed joints, the vertical bricks are angled slightly and so transfer the vertical loads via horizontal thrust as in a traditional arch. Jack arches can only be used on narrow openings. The structure of the underside of the lintel depends on whether or not some form of sunscreen is to be fitted, and so how far back in the opening the window is to be positioned. On the north side of a building where no sunscreen is required, the lintel might be fitted as shown here. On the left, you can see that the brickwork is half a brick wide, and the front and underside of the lintel are clad in veneer bricks. On the right, the underside of the lintel is covered by the metal window surround. If an exterior sunscreen that is invisible when retracted is to be provided, it has to be fitted behind the facing skin. The window is therefore pushed further back so that the sunscreen can be positioned flush with the insulation. Insulation must always be provided behind the metal casing for the sunscreen in order to prevent the formation of condensation at this thermal bridge. Summary: a lintel must be strong enough to transfer the loads from the facing skin above the wall opening. In the past, builders used a complex construction known as the jack arch, but these can only be used on narrow openings. Today, precast reinforced concrete lintels are almost always used. To achieve a continuous brick bond effect across the whole facade, the precast reinforced concrete lintel can be clad with thin veneer bricks at the manufacturing plant. It's important to separate the lintel and the surrounding brickwork with an expansion joint due to the different temperature-specific expansion behaviors of concrete and brickwork. Our next series of films looks at building bases. We hope you will be able to join us.